Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Jungle Mission 3-pack from the buzzworthy Bumblebee line for Transformers Rise of the Beasts from Hasbro. Now I swear the last one of these we did was also the Jungle Mission 3-pack, so it would have been neat if they could have had some different names, but whatever. It's a 3-pack of the mainline deluxes done for Target. I have never seen the mainline deluxes sold separately anywhere throughout the whole run of this movie. So the only way I was able to get these figures was to buy this 3-pack at Target. I really don't want the Bumblebee. From everything I've seen, the Bumblebee is pretty terrible. But again, this was the only way to get these two, and I did really want these two. So we'll have some fun making fun of Bumblebee probably. But you can see we have the plastic-free packaging, so the top is open here. Shows Bumblebee, Airazor, and Autobot Mirage up top. Not really anything going on down the bottom. We have that kind of standard buzzworthy Bumblebee packaging with Megatron, Optimus, RC, Bumblebee over here on this side. And then just a big close-up picture of Bumblebee over there. And then we have some product shots for both the robot mode and alt mode for the 3 figures. So I'm really excited for Airazor. I think that's probably going to be my favorite out of the 3 from what I've seen. But let's go ahead, let's get them all out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here they are out of the packaging, and as I expected, Airazor is definitely my favorite, but we'll get into it. We'll probably go ahead and start with Bumblebee first. Alright, starting with Bumblebee first. He's not great. I guess he could be worse. He's got giant shoes, which will come back later on for the vehicle mode. But the robot mode, it's aesthetically, like, just standing here, I think it's fine. It doesn't hold together all that well, unfortunately. There's a connection in the chest, which just doesn't hold very well, which is kind of a bummer. But just having him, you know, kind of stand here with his weapons and everything, he's not too bad. He has this little cage here, which will go on the windshield that can peg into this forearm. And then they've taken kind of like the grill, like the front fender piece, and that splits in half and gives him these little psi weapons, which I think are actually kind of cool. I think I have him holding him backwards, but it doesn't matter. But I think those are kind of neat. You know what I mean? They kind of give me like a, you know, Raphael from the Ninja Turtles Psi vibes, which is kind of cool. So I do like those accessories. I think that's neat. I'm going to go ahead and remove them for now, and they will come back in the vehicle mode, so we will put those off to the side. I mean, like I said, he could be worse. He could be worse. I think the head sculpt looks pretty good. Nice silver paint for the face mask there. The blue eyes look good. Autobot symbol here. Headlights. The front fender, that's all painted nice. I'm sorry, front bumper. A little bit of paint here in the abdomen. A little bit down here in the shins. Now you can tell that the doors here are translucent plastic painted yellow, because unfortunately they don't really match the yellow anywhere else on the figure, which is kind of a bummer. And then he's got quite a compressed backpack here. But it doesn't really get in the way of articulation all that much, which is nice. So I think the head is just a mushroom peg that goes side to side. It's kind of hard to tell because you can see here that there's a tab on this piece, but it's all hollow in there, so there's nothing for it to tab into. It definitely seems like that's supposed to lock in somewhere, but it doesn't. So I guess you can use that for articulation if you want. It's weird. Then you have this shoulder piece here, because these are meant to fold down. So you can't use it to get the arm up, but if you want it to go down for some reason, you can. You also have a ball joint here in the shoulder. You have a bicep swivel, 90 degrees there in the elbow. You have a wrist swivel. Now you do have a waist swivel down here. Unfortunately, a lot of times when I fiddle with this, this pops up. You can see that there is a tab slot right there that this tabs into, and it doesn't stay together very well, at least not on mine. I don't know if maybe it's just a QC issue with mine or if it's a widespread problem, but a lot of times, especially like if I'm trying to pose the arms around, this whole thing just comes up. And that's really quite a shame, because between that not really locking in and this having nothing to lock into, he doesn't hold together very well. But you do have a waist swivel down here. You can kind of see like where the black meets the gray. Then you have a ball joint down here for the hip. You can kick pretty decently. Pretty good range of motion there. You have a thigh swivel right under that. I think this knee, it doesn't mine's very stiff, and almost like you can kind of see the seam here. Like when I go to use that knee, it starts to split the seam here on the kneecap. So I don't mess with it all that often. Also, you do have some ankle tilt here and a little bit of front to back as well. So, I mean, he's got decent articulation. Aesthetically, he looks all right. He just doesn't hold together all that well. And we'll get to the transformation now. You'll see that these big clodhopper boots, it's going to be interesting. All right, so getting into transformation, you are going to start by flipping open the wheels here. And then this whole piece will kind of flip up over his head like so. Then you can lift this whole section up like that and accordion out the back section. You're going to spin the waist 180 degrees like so. And then you can tuck these boots under like that. Yeah, they're going to hang out the back of the car just like that. At this point, you're going to drop those arms down on those joints I talked about for the shoulders. And then just kind of let them hang out for the moment. And then you're going to flip this around. Why isn't that flipping around? This goes up. There it goes. I was having trouble with this panel not lining up. So you can see pretty much the whole car taking shape at this point. So you want to push this part in. There's like a double hinge in there. And then you can start attaching all this stuff. So there is a little tab on the inside of the wings. The doors. That's going to hit in a little tab slot there on the thigh. So you want to line that up. And then you can also start to push these in. There's a tab slot right there and a tab in there. So that'll line up like that. This will peg in here and then tuck that little tab under. And then you're going to straighten out the arms. And you can see that there are two tabs right here and here. And they will tab into tab slots on the arms. So the arms will just tab on there and there. And then this will come down, and you can see that there's a tab slot on the inside of the wheel, which will tab on right there. So this just comes down and tabs into that. And I think we are good. We have Bumblebee's alt mode. So, as you can see, there are a host of problems. One, he has got a lot going on underneath the car. I can live with the arms. They're not ideal, but I can live with that. But the giant clunking shoes just hanging out the back, that looks bad. If there was a way to maybe turn them upside down so that like this part was underneath and then maybe it would be a little bit more contoured, something like that. But to just have those giant shoes just off the back of the car, just scraping along the ground as he drives is kind of ridiculous. Also, you can see all the parts that are yellow painted onto translucent plastic because they do not match the rest of the car at all. Not even close. It's probably not showing up on camera as well, but it's even worse in person. It's just literally this entire middle section, and then you can see these two sections are a different color yellow. So, that's a bit of a bummer. I mean, it's a decent, like, if you just kind of look at the car from this angle, like, it looks fine. It's just all the underneath. And there are just get the Studio Series. I don't have it handy to do a direct comparison, but the Studio Series 100 Bumblebee, it's a fine figure. I did a video for it. I can put it at the end. There's no reason to get this one. Just get that one. It's about the same price. It's not really much of a difference. And, yeah. So, we have this piece. You can see that there's a little tab slot right there. This tab is going to pop into that. Push that down and then kind of try to peg it in on the sides. So there's the cage for the windshield. And then you take the two side pieces and they will connect together like so. And then there are two tabs right here on the front that will tab these on right here. Now, it looks a little ridiculous with the handles out on the side. It's not terrible, but there he is, fully decked out with his riot gear, we'll call it, for lack of a better term. And again, is it the worst Bumblebee ever? Probably not. But honestly, if they could have done something with these shoes, I think I would have been okay with it. I think I would have been okay with it. I really think, I don't love the arms underneath, but I could live with that. If they could have just somehow maybe turned these 180 degrees so that this piece was kind of hidden underneath, and then maybe there would be like a curved piece like this, I could have lived with that. But those giant shoes out the back, that's just not great. Alright, we now return my camera's white balance to its regularly scheduled programming. Up next we have Mirage. Now you can see I have his legs here in these weird configuration. I wanted to point this out because this is how it comes in the box. He's got this weird, like, backwards bend to the knee, and I don't really know why they packaged it this way in the box, but it is possible to do it like this, which looks a lot more natural and normal, so I just wanted to point this out. So you kind of have to just, like, bring this out. Then you can bend this part forward, kind of make sure this is out of the way, so that when you bring this in, now this will tab in there, as you can see, and then you can bring this back up as normal and have his normal legs, which don't look absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why they packaged it that way in the box, because when I'm looking at it, I'm going, this can't be how his legs are meant to look like. That looks absolutely ridiculous. So, thankfully, it is not, and he can stand normally, and his legs look much better. Head sculpt, I think, is pretty good. Definitely not what he looks like in the movie, but I think a lot of times these are made and designed so much earlier than final concept art, so he's got kind of an interesting look there, but he's got nicely painted eyes. These things cast a lot of shadow. I guess I could put these down. So head can swivel from side to side. I think this one's on a ball joint because you have a little bit of back and forth. With these pieces, you can kind of do whatever you want. They kind of come like this in the packaging, but if you like to put it, down, or you could even angle it further down, whatever you like, you have a little bit of option there in terms of posability. You have a bunch of hinges going on here in the shoulders. So you have a kind of joint underneath the neck. Then you have another joint here in the shoulder. And then you have the ball joint here in the actual shoulder. So there's a lot going on. You could do a lot of stuff with this guy's arms and shoulder joints. He's got a lot. Then you have a bicep swivel there where the blue meets the gray. You got 90 degrees there in the elbow. Don't really have anything in the wrist because it kind of folds in for transformation, but if you need the posability to move the wrist in like that, you could utilize that. You can see here he's just kind of got this kind of lame blaster piece that just pegs into his fist to make it look like his arm transformed. It's not the best, it's not the worst. We've seen them before. Pretty much all the same thing. Now with mine, I think it's this one, yeah, the mushroom peg on this one is weird for me. I have to kind of move that around a little bit. You do have a waist swivel as well, as we can see there. You can almost kick like all the way out to the side. So pretty decent range with the ball joint there. Certainly go front to back. You have a bicep, thigh swivel. These are thighs. Then you have 90 degrees in the knee once you fix them from what it comes in the box. I don't think you have anything going on in the ankle. I think that's pretty solid down there. So, but some nice paint applications. The chest is nicely painted. The vehicle mode is going to have a lot of nice paint on it. And then he's just got this big backpack piece. It is what it is. Can you store this anywhere on the back? I don't think so, unfortunately. But yeah, overall, robot mode for Mirage, not terrible. Alright, so transformation-wise, we are going to take those hands and just kind of fold them in like so. Come around to the back. These little pieces here, you're going to untab. You can see that there was a tab there and a tab slot just to kind of keep the backpack together, which I honestly do appreciate because otherwise that could just be kind of flopping around. So I appreciate that it kind of keeps it compact. Then you can flip all this out, and then this will unpeg, and just kind of this whole thing will fly out the back here like this. As you can see, a lot of the car was compacted into that backpack. So now we're going to come here to the legs, unhook this, flip this piece around like so. I think we have to rotate the waist 180 degrees if I'm not mistaken. Unhook this, flip this around, and then you want to kind of fold these in half. So this piece will come down. This will fold in. You can see there's a tab slot right there and a tab. So this will come in, and then this will tab in up here. There you go. So you can see we're kind of forming the back part of the Porsche. So bring this down, tab that in, tab that in. Then you're going to bend these like this. And then these are going to tab into each other like so. For the arms, you're going to rotate these pieces around and rotate the arms so that these kind of come in and tab in there, and then rotate this up. The arms will be forming the front sides of the Porsche. So bring this around. This tabs in there. Bring this up, and then we're going to use all those crazy shoulder joints to condense this down like this. So in as much as you absolutely can. And then at this point you can kind of see what's going to happen. So we're just going to drop this down. Now this has these two tabs right there and there, which need to go in to the back sections here, right there and right there. Not the front part, but the back part. So I don't know why on mine this section does not stay pegged together that well. It's kind of a mess. Once you put this piece down and get that in there where it's supposed to go, it stays a little better. And then you kind of have to stretch these apart so you have clearance for this to get past. But once you do that, you can kind of form everything up here. Bring this tab in. And then it'll all kind of hold together. But yeah, there is Mirage Vehicle Mode. So Mirage's Vehicle Mode is not bad. There are still some components that don't line up perfectly. And like I said, for whatever reason on mine, the back does not like to stay together all that well. Something's not lining up or whatever. But nice paint here on the side, nice paint here on the front. I like the Autobot symbol. Nice blue for the headlights. And just overall, you know, I like the little Porsche alt mode. I think that really works. I don't know why this won't stay pegged together. It's very strange. But it stays pegged together well enough. Little bit of robot kibble there underneath. And then this thing, they want you to just use this tab, or this little peg here, to peg into one of these so that this just hangs on the back. I think that looks kind of dumb. But yeah, not a bad little alt mode. I saved the best for last. Next up, we have Airazor. I think they did such a great job with this figure. I like it quite a bit. I love the way it transforms. I like both modes a lot. The robot mode here, I think, looks fantastic. I love the head sculpt. The head sculpt is very reminiscent of how she appeared in the original Beast Wars cartoon, but also updated, so it just has kind of hints of it. But I think the green eyes are great. All that paint is really nice. Nice, shiny, metallic paint. I love that. I think the head sculpt is great. And we have a true, proper ball joint, so she can look down, she can look up, side to side. Can't really tilt side to side all that much. You have these wings here that you can get a nice range out of. You have a hinge going back and forth. And then, of course, you can move this all around as well. So if you want her to, you know, be in flight, you can have the wings out or have them to the side or just have them tucked back straight down like I have them here. A lot of variety with that as well. You have a hinge here in the shoulder, which we'll utilize for transformation, but you can use that. And then there's a ball joint here in the actual shoulder, so nice range of motion there. Shoulder pads can move. Bicep swivel, 90 degrees. The wrist is a little weird just because it has this kind of like, you know, the falcon or eagle, whatever bird she is, the foot here on the back, so that can move around a little bit. She comes with these two blades, which are nicely painted silver on both sides. I appreciate that. Not much to them. They're just these tiny little blades, but I do like them. I'm going to put them off to the side. Now, unfortunately on mine, the one elbow joint is kind of really loose. I'm hoping that's just mine and not like a rampant QC issue, but I can live with it. Now, she does not have any waist articulation, but she's got pretty good hips. She can kick really far out to the side, really far, I mean, almost 180 foot kick up that way. Because of this, now technically if you wanted, you could unpeg this, and then you could kick a little bit further, but unfortunately this piece of the leg kind of hits into that. So, it's not, actually I guess you don't even have to move it. I guess it stops before it hits that. You have a thigh swivel there, 90 degrees in the knee. You have front to back on the ankle, but I do not believe we have any ankle tilt side to side. So that is the one drawback, but it's really not that big a deal. I just really like the look of this figure. I think it's fun. I think the way she transforms is really fun. I just really, really like the look of this one. I think it's very cool. And the color scheme is great too. And those green eyes just really pop. I think that's fantastic. So let's go ahead. Let's get into transformation. Alright, so this one's kind of neat. And the other reason I really like this figure is because it transforms completely differently from the Studio Series Airazor and the Kingdom Airazor, because those were basically the same mold. This is a completely new mold here, which I think is really fun. So we're going to kind of pop these out to the side. We're going to unhook that piece. And then this whole piece here is going to kind of flip up. Now you do have to kind of maneuver the arms so that this piece can flip up. But I guess we'll just leave it. We'll leave it up like this for now. We're going to come down to the waist section here, I guess the chest, and kind of flip this up and kind of bring this whole section down like that. We're going to tuck Airazor's robot head inside, like so. And then we're going to kind of swivel the eagle head around, or the falcon, hawk, whatever she's supposed to be, and peg that in like that. Just kind of get the arms out of the way for now. What we're going to do is bring this further around, and again we have to kind of move the arms out of the way. But this will go down like that. And then we will bring this in, bring the legs up, and you can kind of see how there's like a little notch right here, and then there's a little notch tab right there. So that's going to come in and connect there. And then you're going to bring this down and bring this around, and you can see that there's a tab here and a spot right there. So that's going to connect onto that. And then you're going to rotate the thigh 180 degrees. And this is going to come down, and then this section here, the wing, is going to connect into this, like that. So then we're going to just repeat the process again over here. Flip this around. That goes like that. Bring that down. And then bring this in and connect it like that. So you can see that the legs really become the wings, which I think is really cool. Reminds me very much of Dive Bomb from Transformers Energon. Then we're going to just tuck these back and then just kind of straighten these out like this. I guess you can tuck these down. And there you go. We have Airazor in bird. I'll just say bird mode. I don't know. Is she an eagle? Is she a falcon? Bird mode. Alright, so here is the eagle mode. Again, we have those really bright, nicely painted green eyes, which I really like. Unfortunately, you don't really have any articulation because of the way these back part of the wings peg into the legs. So you can't really flap the wings or anything like that. I guess technically you can move the legs around a little bit. But like I said, since unfortunately the elbow is kind of loose on mine, she has trouble standing. She kind of just tilts off to the one side. You can store the weapons. You can see that there's a spot right there. and tabs on the wings, so we can just go ahead. Am I doing this backwards? I might be. Let's do it over here. All right. So you can tab those in there for storage. So I really like it. I think it's a fun transformation. It's something different for Airazor that we haven't seen a bunch of times before. So I appreciate that. Not really much articulation to speak of. But then again, the cars have no articulation at all. So there you go. But yeah, it's a really fun alt mode. I like it a lot. So at the end of the day, it's a pretty good 3-pack. I mean, I kind of wish we had the option to just buy these individually. I still don't really understand how the main line was distributed here in the US, because the Voyagers seem to be Walmart exclusive. The Deluxes I've still never seen. And then they gave us these 3-packs at Target. So I really don't understand what the process was. But if this is the only way to get them, I still think it's worth picking up. Airazor is really fantastic. Mirage isn't bad. When I first took him out of the box and he had the legs backwards like that, I was really confused. But then once I took a look at the directions and everything and figured out that the legs are normal, you know, can be transformed normally, I liked him a lot more. Bumblebee, honestly, I feel like I should hate it more than I do, which is kind of surprising because we're so oversaturated with Bumblebee figures, and I've said that time and time again. And I'm kind of surprised that I'm not more unhappy with this. But just aesthetically, if I'm just going to put this on my shelf like this, it's fine. The vehicle mode, as long as you don't look at those feet hanging out the back, is not that terrible. But there's the inconsistencies with the color yellow because of the translucent plastic being painted as opposed to just yellow plastic. So I would say out of the 3, this is probably the worst one. And if there was a way I could have bought just these 2, I probably would have. But since this was the only way to get him, I don't mind having it, but it's definitely not necessary. I mean, if you have the option to get these separately and you can just go buy the Studio Series 100 Bumblebee, I would definitely advise doing that because that's a really solid figure. Again, I'll put the video link for that at the end of this one. But this is, you know, for something a little bit cheaper that you can transform probably a little bit quicker. I kind of like the accessories. I don't know. Like I said, it could be worse. It could definitely be better. It's just my biggest problem is the giant feet hanging out the back of the vehicle mode because that's absolutely ridiculous. But I still think it's a pretty fun 3-pack. I still recommend checking it out. Airazor alone is just fantastic. I hope they use this mold for some other stuff. I'd love a repaint as Dive Bomb from Energon because it kind of transforms the same way, and I think that would be really fun. But only the future will tell, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely recommend checking this one out. I found it, I think it's in Target stores, but also I found it on Target.com. So if you're looking for this one, I think it was $60. So that's really not too bad. It's about $20 a figure, which is pretty standard for, you know, it's kind of like Earthspark Deluxe or something like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.